Hello, everyone. Welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And if someone could just confirm that you can hear me and see my screen. That would be great. Hector. All right. Thank you very much, Hector. And good afternoon. Welcome to you. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. And hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Stephen says YouTube is good as well. All right. I'm good to go today. All right. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is at Doug Pless. Just want to let everyone know that Bookmap is encouraging everyone to join Bookmap Discord for a better streaming and chat experience. You do it in a Bookmap subscription, though there is a free subscription available. Once you subscribe, you will need to verify your account. You can scan this QR code, verify your account, then you can fully participate in chat and watching the variety of streams in Bookmap Discord. So everyone, please feel free to join us on Bookmap Discord. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. Certainly, the large cap tech stocks that I follow, like the Magnificent Seven stocks, as well as the equity index futures, like the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. The ES SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis. And for setups, and when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. And setups of an asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset and the way you like to trade. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, October 9th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today, as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today, and then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's start with news items, economic data, and events. So it's been a pretty light week so far. That is about to change. The FOMC minutes come out at 2 p.m. today, and we'll take a look at the live market at that time. Then tomorrow, CPI data and jobless claims come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then on Friday, PPI data comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. Also note there are a variety of Fed speakers throughout the week. All right, so again, a big event for today, potentially, is the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. Although that is old news, and certainly that was before the latest jobs report. All right, so that's news items. Let's move on to positional analysis now. Oops. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES Futures and Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to SPX, the underlying index. This is a one-day chart for SPX, now trading at all-time highs. Let me point out a couple of key data points on this chart, levels. This is the August 5th low, 51.19. SPX rallied, pulled back and tested the 5,400 put wall, and is now has rallied up and trading at all-time highs. Let's move on. Let's take a look now at a 1 hour chart. This is a 30-day 1 hour chart for SPX. There's that test of the 5,400 put wall, also the SPY 540 put wall at the time. SPX traded up, then consolidated in a range between around 56.80 and 57.65. Now, again, it looks like it has broken out of that range. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart now. We zoom it a bit. All right, first of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. That's based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. SPX still within that range. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market. That's based on the closing price for SPX from yesterday. Note I do post those levels in Discord every day the evening before. All right, so those are the weekly and daily expected moves. Looks like SPX has traded up above the upper daily expected move today, now trading right around that level. All right, the dark red lines are spot gamma levels. These are provided to Spotgamma subscribers. They're based on gamma-weighted open interest, and they're available on a variety of trading platforms. And I'm going to look at the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall is at 57.20. That level did move up pretty substantially from yesterday, 5,500 yesterday to 57.20 today. That's a strike with largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. The next level, just above that, oops, sorry about that. All right, the next level, just above that, is the volatility trigger at 57.30. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price edge to delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price edge to delta exposure, and that generally tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And finally, the call wall is at 5,800. That is a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance, and that is also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated, and that is very clearly the next target up above. Uh, SPX is certainly most likely headed up to that level. All right, shifts in levels for SPX. There was a bullish hat trick. The volatility trigger, put wall, and absolute gamma strike all shifted higher, and showing a very narrow potential range for SPX today, 5720 put wall being the potential floor and 5800 being the potential ceiling, as well as the next price target. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1 minute chart. Zoom in just a bit. All right, so one thing to point out, this was a great trade yesterday. This pin at the close right at 57.50. And that was pretty well telegraphed by mid-morning with the trace charm heat map yesterday. And if I have time, I'll show you some of the screenshots. So very well telegraphed. The pin at 57.50. And the today, that was around the launching point, actually right about here. Good entry point for a long, 57.50. And that also was in line with the SPY 573 volatility trigger. All right, so these are the levels in play for today. SPX trading above the 5730 volatility trigger. Again, in a positive gamma environment, that level did move higher. And trading now up and down around the upper daily expected move. All right, let's move on to Bookmap now. So again, this is the ES Futures and Bookmap. I have my own cloud notes. Oops. So here, so I can show SPX levels. You can't see the label there, but that's the 5750. That's a large gamma 2 level, just like yesterday. And also you can see the label for the SPY 573 volatility trigger. It was the good, great entry point for a long this morning for this very mechanical move up to SPY 577. And here's the SPY 575 call wall. So the S&P 500 is trading above the SPY 575 call wall, but still slightly below the SPX 5800 call wall. And for SPY, that call wall did move lower from yesterday, moved down from 580 to 575. And for SPY, the volatility trigger also moved higher, just like SPX. So kind of a mixed picture for the shifts in levels for SPY, but definitely a bullish hat trick for SPX. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. Earlier today, it was right around 49, so that's what I'm using. So ES minus SPX equal 49. So I'm showing the SPX 5750 level at ES 5799. And we'll talk more about setups in a few minutes. Let me check for questions. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. This is the NQ futures of Bookmap. And let's take a quick look at the underlying index charts. I'm going to go to QQQ first. And let's go to the today. Looks like I need to shift my lines up. Key level here, zero gamma level. That is the 488 zero gamma level, acting as support this morning. QQQ trading above the volatility trigger at 489. And then 490 is the absolute gamma strike. And then there's a combo level just below that. Nice pullback to that level, right around 945. All right, so that's QQQ. Spot gamma levels in play below. Again, 488 zero gamma level support, good entry point for long this morning. Nice pullback to the combo level in 490, absolute gamma strike. Let's take a look at NDX. Levels in play here. NDX 20,128. That's a combo 4 level, acting as support right around that pullback to the QQQ 490, right around that same level. And now the 20,200 level in play. And that's, I believe, a large gamma 2 level right there, acting as support. So that's NDX. Back to Bookmap. So just like ES, I have my own cloud notes so I can show QQQ levels. There's that 488 zero gamma level. Pull back to this cluster of levels. That NDX level also in there. And then there's the NDX 20,200, large gamma 4, acting as support. Looks like NQ found resistance at the QQQ 493 round number level, as well as the NQ upper daily expected move. All right, so those are levels in play for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. And for NASDAQ, QQQ, the volatility trigger and absolute gamma strike both shifted higher. So overall, bullish shifts higher in levels for both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. All right, let's wrap up positional analysis. Let's take a quick look at gamma notional, and then this is the gamma notional market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. We'll take a look at this, and then we'll take a look at the current live picture of gamma. All right, so first of all, this is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, kind of a mixed picture here. For SPX, gamma notional is positive and was negative for SPY at the beginning of the day, and also just slightly negative for QQQ. In a positive gamma environment, this indicates for an index that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma. They have to trade against price exposure. And for negative gamma, for an index, spot gamma assumes traders are long puts, market makers are short puts. It's the negative gamma. They have to trade with price to measure the delta exposure. All right, let's take a look now at the current picture of gamma. This is the trace gamma heat map. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. And the blue zone indicates positive gamma. So a couple things to note. First of all, the SPX trading, this is for SPX only. This is current, showing again the current picture of gamma. Blue bars over to the left. This is positive gamma. That's where in this current price range, 57.75. That's where most of the gamma is concentrated. And note, you can see the time there. This bar, gamma notional, this bar has been increasing for the last hour. So this is showing gamma notional at that strike for 60 minutes, 30 minutes, and 10 minutes ago. That is increasing. Hector asked, if possible, could we observe on trace 0 DTE charm? We'll take a look at charm in just a minute. So that's the current picture of gamma. And again, most of the gamma concentrated at 57.75, though there is negative gamma just above that at 57.80, and that appears to be part of an iron condor that Spotgamma pointed out in the founder's note this morning. Let's see if we can find the put strikes. Looks like that's probably been closed. All right, so this is right here, this is the call side of an iron condor. And remember, traders are opposite that. So they are short this strike, market makers are long, and they're long the strike, market makers are short. So this is showing market makers' position And again, traders have the opposite side of that. So short 57.75 and long 57.80. One other thing to note here, the stability index, this higher number indicates higher stability and essentially less volatility. This is a pretty high number and typical of a very, very positive gamma environment. All right, so that based on this information, my thesis for the day, looking for moderate volatility and also bullish, especially based on the bullish hat trick for SPX. And again, the obvious target, maybe not today, but most likely in the next few days, is this 5,800 call wall. All right, let's, and Hector, I will get back to charm in a few minutes. All right, so let's move on now to execution. Look at real-time execution. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. And as always, I'm going to start by taking a look at what options traders have been doing today. So what this chart is showing, this is the hero chart, hedging impact real-time options. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. And again, this is real time. So we're moving on from positional analysis to real-time data now. There are two lines on this chart. The white line is price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal, HIRO, hedging impact real-time options. A rising hero signal indicates traders are taking positive delta options positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades. And in this case of these index components, they have to buy ES futures to hedge their delta exposure. And then a falling hero signal indicates traders are taking negative delta options positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. So that's the first signal that we can take a look at for the S&P 500. That's the index signal. The next, the equity signal. And what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 index. So again, white line is price, and the purple line is the hero signal, again, for all 500 stocks in the underlying index. All right, I'm going to shift to puts and calls. I'm going to go back to the index signal, open up full screen. Based on my experience, what I have found is that early in the morning, from the open until sometime maybe mid-morning, maybe later on, this signal seems to be more responsive. This is a signal that I look at first thing. This is my default signal. And often, sometime later in the day, the equity signal seems to have more correlation with price. So let's start with the index signal. Now I've separated out puts and calls. So this rising orange line indicates traders are buying calls in the index components. Market makers sell the calls. They have to buy ES futures to hedge their delta exposure. And the purple line is for puts. Oh, thank you very much, Slotarazi. Let's go back. Let's go to the live market now so we can watch for the FOMC minutes. And thank you very much, Sodaraji, for the reminder. All right, so far, not much of a reaction to the FOMC minutes. While we're here, I would zoom in, but I do want to watch the current reaction, and I do want to point out something here. So again, I've talked about these two levels, the SPY 573 volatility trigger. Very important to watch how price reacts at volatility triggers. And in this case, after a move lower, just at the open, it did act as support. Price move higher. And if I zoomed in, you could see that there were very large iceberg orders in this current zoom level. It's not as significant, but there were large traders buying with iceberg orders they used to hide their size. That helped initially fuel that move higher. Then as price started to move higher, buy stop orders shown by the yellow line there helped to fuel the move higher. And then after price started to move higher, the volume dots show market buy minus sell. Sellers are exhausted. That's shown by the magenta dots. Aggressive buyers start to come in. Cumulative volume delta, that's a magenta line that changes to dark blue, start to rise as price moves higher. And again, traders were buying index calls. All right, so there's the long setup of this morning. Pull back to the 5750, 573 level. Large icebergs coming in. Buying at that low. Aggressive buyers start to come in. Price moves higher. All right, folks, I don't see much of a reaction at all to the FOMC minutes. So let's go back to Hero. Whoops. All right, so we're on the index signal again. Traders were aggressively buying calls in the morning and really took their foot off the gas right around 11 a.m. Price continued to move higher, and then they started selling calls just before noon. Around 11, they also started buying puts, and then that accelerated right before noon, and price moved a little bit lower and consolidated. All right, let's take a look at the equity signal now. This took a little while to uh, start to sync up with price, or price started. Anyway, it looked like to me the index signal provided a more clear signal in the morning, and then traders started buying calls in equities right around 10 a.m. Also started selling puts. So in this case, blue line, orange line moving the same direction. That's a very bullish indicator. And then just the same time, they took their foot off the gas in the index. They also took their foot off the gas in equities. And now price is consolidating. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right, so everything pretty flat for right now. Looks like in the S&P 500, there may be a little bit of a move higher now. Zoom in on this. So right before the minutes came out, S&P 500 did move lower, found support at the 575 call wall, now backed up to the ES upper daily expected move. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Go back to Hero. They close full screen. All right, so just like the S&P 500, there are two hero signals that we can take a look at. First, this NASDAQ index signal that's showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of NDX and QQQ. That is the index signal. And then there's the MAG 7 signal. And typically the S&P equity signal is similar to the MAG 7 plus 493. So what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. These stocks make up a very large component of the NASDAQ 100, and they often drive the NASDAQ 100 as well as the S&P 500. So let's start with the index signal. Go back to full screen. So what this chart is showing is traders are buying index calls up until about 11:30, 11:45. They took the foot off the gas, and up until that time, the put line, although up and down, was overall pretty flat. And then starting right around 11:45, they started buying puts, and price began to consolidate. All right, let's take a look at Mag 7. And again, just like the S&P equities, which is the Mag 7 plus 493, call buyers got in gear right around 10 a.m. And again, took their foot off the gas right around noon. Back to Bookmap, NASDAQ, good entry point for a long. As traders started to buy calls, the Mag 7 stocks at the 488.0 gamma level. That's just below the NQ 20,250 level. Nice deep pullback that I mentioned before to the 490 level. And the price made it all the way up to the upper daily expected move for NQ. And then again, remember right around noon, the call buyers are taking the foot off the gas in both the index and the Mag 7 signal, and now price consolidating. Right? Any questions? Hector wants to take a look at delta pressure on trace to see if there's some insight. Sure, we can take a look at that. And then we'll take a look at some stocks. So let's take a look at delta pressure. What this chart is showing is selling pressure in red, buying support in blue, and then there's somewhat of a neutral zone in between that is neither red nor blue. What this chart is showing, and we can step back in time. Let's go back. Let's go back to about 1030. So you can see the buying support was helping to move price higher. This is the hero signal. So that's hero signal, and this is price for SPX. I'm looking at 5-minute candlesticks. So in the morning, SPX trading in the blue zone with buying support as heroes rising. Let's step through this. So buying support seems to be following price up. Note the rising hero signal. So this is right around just afternoon, 12:10. Now SPX has reached this neutral zone, neither red nor blue. So let's step through until now current. So it looks like SPX did move up to the slightly red zone here. Now again in the neutral zone with neither buying support nor selling pressure. And note that it's right around this large gamma bar right here at 57.75. All right, Hector, I hope that helped. Let's take a look at some stocks real quick. Then we'll get back to the indexes. First stock I want to take a look at is Apple. Orange line showing traders are buying calls today. Flow alert comes in just after the cash open. Get your attention. Rising orange line, traders buying calls. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge the delta exposure. Looks like for Apple, they finally took the foot off the gas right around 12:45. And earlier in the morning, they were selling puts as well. That's shown by the rising blue line. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Nice bullish day in Apple here. Opening print just above 225. Pull back to VWAP. Note earlier in the morning, CVD rising, cumulative volume delta, showing aggressive buyers. Then that starts to move down as the call buyers took their foot off the gas. There's that Apple. Very nice bullish setup this morning. All right, next stock I want to take a look at is Amazon. Bullish day in Amazon. Liquidity price targets 184. Those are limit sell orders. That's the heat map and Bookmap showing a history of the limit orders. Very high liquidity there at 185. Price target. Looks like those sell orders were consumed at 184 and 185. Note also the rising cumulative volume delta. Aggressive buyers come in. They looks like that has finally flattened out. You can see all the green volume dots also. A lot of aggressive buyers in Amazon today. Let's see what options traders have been doing. Go to Amazon. Let's zoom in on this just a bit. So you can see in Amazon that the call buyers came in right around 10 a.m. And remember, that's when the Mag 7 signal started to turn higher, right around 10 a.m. Traders buying calls, and then they start selling puts as well. Note for the day, notional value, positive for both. So net for the day, they are selling puts and buying calls. That's Amazon. Let's take a look at Meta. Nice short setup in the morning. Flow alert comes in just about 5 minutes after the cash open. Gets your attention, signals significant options activity. Traders are selling calls, shown by the falling orange line, buying puts, shown by the falling blue line. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they hedge their delta exposure by selling stock. Note Meta did breach the 587.50 put wall. And then again, just after 10 a.m., traders start buying calls, selling puts, and price reversed higher. Again, right around when the Mag 7 signal started to move higher. And right now, price consolidating is the hero signal. So down, up, then flat. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Meta. Opening print just below 595, and price dropped sharply almost to 582 as traders were selling calls and buying puts. They become call buyers, put sellers. Price moves up, now consolidating back above the 587.50 put wall. And also note there were a couple of pullbacks to VWAP after the move higher. All right, let me check for questions. All right, RSA 108 iffy asks the heat map and Gex stuff are available with which tier of membership? So that's available to Spotgamma Alpha subscribers. And RSA also asked, is this live available later to rewatch? Yes, it will be. All of my webinars, or most of them, I've had some technical difficulties recently, but generally all of my webinars are available on the Bookmap YouTube channel, and it should be available right after my session today. So yeah, it is available to watch later. And by the way, welcome, glad you're here. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA has definitely been in play for the last few days, helping to drive the market higher. Dan P says the last session has just finished re-encoding, so it should be available on the Bookmap YouTube channel. All right, here's NVIDIA. Let's see what options traders have been doing in NVIDIA today. So it looks like call sellers are driving price in NVIDIA today. Zoom into this just a little bit. Similar to Meta, sharp drop at the open, except in this case, it was just call sellers driving price lower. Traders sell calls, market makers buy the calls. They have to sell stock to hedge the delta exposure. Flow alert comes in maybe 7 or 8 minutes after the cash open. Get your alert, signaling significant options activity. And as soon as the call sellers took the foot off the gas, price did start to rebound. There were some put sellers in here, and then the call sellers were added again right around 10:30. Price moved lower again, took the foot off the gas, and price tried to move higher again. So net for the day, traders selling calls, most likely taking profit. NVIDIA has really been on tear higher. So call sellers taking advantage of that move higher, selling their calls. And they're also selling puts today. So that's shown by the positive notion of value. Let's go back to Bookmap. And you can also see in Bookmap here, there are a lot of aggressive sellers selling stock, shown by the falling cumulative volume delta and all of the magenta volume dots. And let's take a look at Tesla. And let's see what options traders have been doing in Tesla. Zoom in just a little bit. So Nvidia, like Tesla, like Meta, had an opening move lower with traders selling calls and buying puts. That lasted for about 10 minutes. Then they started selling puts. A few minutes later, started buying calls. Price moved higher. Call buyers took the foot off the gas, and price started to consolidate. So now net for the day, starting around 10:30, traders have been buying puts, and the call buyers have pretty much taken the foot off the gas. and Tesla's grinding lower. Note 240, 250 is the hedge wall. Let's go back and take a look at Bookmap. So you can see all of the aggressive buyers coming in. So initially in that move lower, when traders were selling calls and buying puts, there were a lot of aggressive sellers. Shown by the magenta volume dots. Sellers are exhausted. You can see that small magenta dot right at the low end of price. Aggressive buyers start to come in. Price moves above VWAP. Options traders take the foot off the gas again. Buyers are exhausted. Sellers come in. Now price moving lower. Back to Hero. As traders continue to buy puts and have stopped buying calls. All right, let me check for questions. All right, let's move back. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. I'm going to go to the total signal. Go to the S&P 500. So overall net for the day, Hero signal up, consolidation, now choppy but making lower highs. Check the equity signal, and then we'll take a look at Charm, Hector. All right, it looks like equity signal now starting to move higher after the consolidation, then a move higher. Let's take a look at Charm. This will give us an idea of where price may end up at the end of the day. It was definitely more clear yesterday. So remember, this is the large gamma strike at 57.75. And we're looking for levels to pin, levels at the end of the day between these blue and red zones. One possibility right here, maybe 57.85, or another possibility between the red and blue there. Let's take a look. That is the so that's right about the 57.75 level. Then above that, oh, that's closer to 57.90. That's a pretty wide zone there. So Hector, hope that helps. Not as clear as yesterday, but likely pinning targets for the end of the day based on charm pressure is 57.75 or 57.90. And with this rising hero signal, if that continues, then maybe 57.90 may be more likely. Let me just show something quickly from yesterday. This is from yesterday. This is charm pressure. And we were looking for a pin. This is at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Looking for a pin right around this level, 57.50. So let's take a look at this progresses. That's 12:30. That's 2:30. This is 57.50 right here. Note that gamma, positive gamma, is increasing at that level. And then finally, let's take a look at the end of the day at right at the close at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Here was the closing price. Ways to play that. First of all, look at that for a target at the end of the day. And you can also see the hero signal on this chart, helping to support that move higher. All right, let's wrap up. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. So again, if hero continues to rise, the 57.90 level could be in play. Let's take a final look at Bookmap. Go back to the S&P 500. And again, I'm talking about SPX 57.90. And that would probably be in line with right around this high of the day if we're using a 49-point offset. All right, last check for questions. Whoops. All right, everyone, I want to thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. I will see you Friday. Remember, data coming up tomorrow, CPI data, jobless claims, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and PPI on Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Michigan Consumer Sentiment at 10 a.m., and we'll talk about it on Friday. Everyone, again, thank you very much for watching. I think I have all the technical issues worked out. Everything seemed to work well today. So looking forward to Friday. Everyone, have a great afternoon, and I will see you on Friday. Bye.